Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we are diving into the incredible, almost invisible network that's running your entire life. We're talking about the two command centers that control and coordinate every single thing you do, from your deepest thoughts to the simplest little reflexes. So, let's get right into it.
But first, let me ask you a question. Picture this. You accidentally touch a hot stove. What happens? Your hand yanks back in a flash, right? It's almost like your body reacts before your brain even has a chance to register the pain. Why is that? Well, this very simple question is the key to unlocking our body's first and fastest control system.
The whole concept we're talking about here is called control and coordination. And really, all it means is the amazing ability of any living thing to manage all its different parts and respond to whatever the world throws at it. Whether that's a hot stove, a blindingly bright light, or some kind of sudden danger. So, here's our roadmap. We're going to start with the high-speed express train. That's your nervous system. Then we'll switch gears and look at the slower postal service, the endocrine system. After that, we'll unravel a really fascinating little puzzle about plants, and then we'll wrap it all up with the big takeaway. All right, first stop, the express train. This is your nervous system, and it is built for one thing and one thing only: pure, unadulterated speed. It uses electrical impulses to zip messages around your body at lightning-fast speeds. This is what allows for those immediate, split-second reactions.
So what's this whole network made of? Well, the fundamental building block is a specialized cell called the neuron. Just think of neurons as the electrical wiring of your body. They are perfectly designed to carry these electrical signals from one place to another, creating this massive interconnected communication grid. Now, here's where it gets really cool. Neurons don't actually touch each other. There's this tiny, microscopic gap between them called a synapse. So how does the message get across? Well, to cross this gap, the electrical signal does a quick change act, transforming into a chemical message. These chemicals, called neurotransmitters, literally jump across the gap to kickstart a new electrical signal in the next neuron. It's a really clever handoff that makes sure the message only ever flows in one direction, which, prevents total chaos in the system.
And this super fast system is what's responsible for what we call reflex actions. Basically, these are all the responses that happen without you ever having to think about them. Like sneezing when dust tickles your nose, or your eyes blinking shut to protect you from something flying towards them. They are, by definition, quick, automatic, and totally involuntary.
So that hot stove example, this is exactly how it works. The whole pathway is called the reflex arc. Your skin, the receptor, touches the heat. A sensory neuron fires off a danger signal, but instead of going all the way to the brain, it goes straight to the spinal cord. The spinal cord acts like a local manager and immediately sends an instruction back down a motor neuron, telling your muscle, the effector, to contract. And bam, your hand is already moving before the pain signal has even finished its journey to your brain. It's a brilliant little shortcut designed to prevent serious injury.
But of course, life isn't all just simple reflexes. For all the complex stuff, we need the main coordinating center, the human brain. It's protected by our hard, bony skull and cushioned by something called cerebrospinal fluid. This is our body's very own supercomputer.
The biggest part of it, the forebrain, is where all the high-level stuff happens. This is basically the seat of your consciousness. It handles your thinking, your memory, your intelligence, and all of your voluntary actions. So when you decide to pick up a book, solve a math problem, or figure out what you're hungry for, that's your forebrain running the show.
Meanwhile, the midbrain and hindbrain are handling other critical tasks behind the scenes. The midbrain controls reflexes related to sight and sound, like when you automatically turn your head towards a sudden loud noise. The hindbrain has the cerebellum, which is the master of balance and coordination, and the medulla, which quietly takes care of the most essential functions that keep you alive, like your heartbeat, your breathing, and your blood pressure.
So this brings us to a really clear distinction, right? You have voluntary actions, things you choose to do like walking or talking. Those are controlled by your forebrain. And then you have involuntary actions, things that just happen automatically, like your heart beating or your food digesting. Your hindbrain and other parts of your nervous system manage all that without you ever having to give it a second thought.
Okay, so if the nervous system is this express train delivering instant messages, our second system is, well, it's more like the postal service. It's a lot slower, way more methodical, but its messages can have incredibly powerful and long-lasting effects.
So instead of using electrical wires, this system uses chemical messengers called hormones. Special glands release these hormones directly into your bloodstream. And from there, they travel all throughout your body, kind of like letters in the mail, until they arrive at their specific destination, a target organ that has the right mailbox, so to speak, to receive that particular message.
And here are some of the heavy hitters in this system. You've definitely felt the adrenal gland's adrenaline. That's the stuff that gives you the fight or flight rush in an emergency. The pancreas releases insulin to manage your blood sugar. You've probably heard about that. When that communication line breaks down, it can lead to diabetes. But hormones also manage the big, slow, foundational changes in our lives. Your thyroid sets your body's entire metabolic pace with thyroxine, while the pituitary's growth hormone literally orchestrates your growth over many, many years. This system is quietly shaping who we are, from our energy levels to our long-term development.
Okay, so time for a puzzle. Animals have these two super complex systems to respond to the world. But what about plants? I mean, they don't have nerves, they don't have brains, but they can still bend towards sunlight and their roots can find water in the soil. So how do they do it? How do they manage control and coordination?
Well, the answer is pretty amazing. It turns out plants rely exclusively on a chemical messenger system, using what are called plant hormones or phytohormones. For instance, a hormone called auxin builds up on the shady side of a plant stem. This makes the cells on that shady side grow longer, which physically causes the plant to bend towards the light. It's such a simple but incredibly effective chemical solution for a silent organism. This chemical control gives plants two main ways of moving. First, you've got tropic movements, which are all about directional growth, like a sunflower tracking the sun across the sky. That's phototropism. But then you have nastic movements, which are non-directional and happen much faster. Think of a Venus flytrap snapping shut, or how a touch-me-not plant's leaves instantly fold up when you touch them. That's not growth, it's a super fast change in water pressure inside the cells, a purely mechanical response triggered by touch. It's a really elegant, nerve-free reaction.
Okay, let's bring this all back home. We've looked at the lightning-fast nervous system and the slower, steadier endocrine system. And while they work in completely different ways, they're both working towards one single, unified goal, keeping us alive, keeping us balanced, and keeping us responsive to the world.
So, here's the absolute key takeaway. The nervous system uses fast electrical signals for immediate, short-lived responses. The endocrine system uses slow, chemical hormones for gradual, long-lasting changes like growth and metabolism. It really is the express train versus the postal service, and each one is perfectly suited for its job.
At the end of the day, whether it's the nervous system's instant reflex pulling your hand from a fire, or the endocrine system's patient work growing you from a child into an adult, it's the beautiful, seamless collaboration between these two systems that allows us to not just survive, but to truly respond, adapt, and thrive in this constantly changing world.
And that leaves us with one last thing to chew on. Our bodies evolved a fast electrical system and a slow chemical one. So here's a thought. If you had to design a third control system, one built specifically for the unique challenges of our modern digital world, what would it do, and how would it even work? Something to